Are you thinking about selling your home, but you're not sure if you want to use a listing agent or sell the home yourself? Then great, you came to the right video. I'm Azra Moore with Aramac Real Estate Team, and in this video, we're going to talk about the differences between for sale by owner and using a listing agent. Before we get into it, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and away we go. All right, so I always get asked, why would somebody want to sell their house themselves? And generally it's money. Sometimes they just think they can do a better job. Maybe they had a bad transaction with the previous realtor and they just, they've canceled out realtors, but usually it's money. So I'm out here in Forney, Texas. We fall into the greater Dallas-Fort Worth metropolitan area, and the median household price out here is $400,000. The average commission, 6%. So the average sale, there's $24,000 commission. That's what the owner's trying to save. Obviously, if your house is worth less, the commission's less. If it's worth more, it's worth more. But on average, $24,000. That can make the difference between them being able to pay off their mortgage if they just recently bought their home or did a refinance and there's no equity. So they can't necessarily afford a realtor, or so they think, and we'll get into that. But typically it comes down to money. And yes, before we go any further, full disclosure, I am a real estate agent. So if I sound biased, that's fine. But just remember, I'm pulling facts and statistics from research done not just by me, but from national companies to understand and help you understand and make a decision on whether you want to use an agent or not. So either way, before we get into the definitions, check the description, and I have a seller's guide that will help, again, whether you sell the home yourself or use an agent, seller's guide to kind of help cover some of the stuff we talk about in other videos and prepare you to sell your home. So what's the difference in role between for sale by owner versus having a listing agent? Well, for sale by owner means you do all the work, right? You do the marketing, you do the negotiations, you decide on the price, you overlook the contract, start to finish, it's all you. If you use a listing agent, they're the ones doing most of the marketing. They are doing all the negotiations. They're overlooking the contract. They're helping you price it correctly for your market. And they're walking you through the transaction start to finish from the time you list all the way through closing and payday, which is, where we're all trying to get to, right? So statistically, only 7% of people listed their homes nationally themselves last year. So the other 93% hired real estate agents, right? So let's talk about that 7%. Out of that 7%, most of them did not sell the house for what they expected. Not only did they not sell it for what they expected, but they sold it for less than the commission they were trying to save. Meaning they sold it on average for less than 6%. So that means if they were asking $400,000, like our example, like the median household price, they might have only sold it for $360,000, $370,000. Well, the commission was only $24,000, so they actually sold it for less than what they more than likely would have had they used an agent. In addition to that, there's a common misconception that they're saving all the commission. Well, buyers typically have a buyer's agent, and the buyer's agent is expected to get paid half that commission. So $12,000 should go to the buyer's agent. In the perfect scenario, you list the house yourself, the buyer doesn't have an agent, you guys agree and do the contracts all yourself and everything works out, you could potentially save that $24,000. But what also happens is that buyer knows you don't have an agent, right? So then they're like, oh, well, he's saving commission, so I'm going to offer less. And again, it's the same commission, right? He can't save $24,000 and you save $24,000 at the same time. So if there's a price reduction or he asks for less money or she asks for less money than you're offering, only one person can win. Either they come up to your number and you get that savings, or you come down to their number to sell the home and they get that saving, right? That happens a lot in for sale by owner transactions. This common misconception that they're going to save all the commission, it's all going to go in their pocket, and they're going to sell it for what they're asking. It could happen in the right market, right? The right environment where you're 0 days on market, you stick a sign in the yard, 30 people try and kick down your door and throw money at your face. It could happen. I know people that have done it, but we're not in that market right now. So if you want to wait till that market comes around again, sure. But while you're waiting, if you need to sell your home, understand that people aren't going to be knocking down your door because the inventory is not as low as it once was. Let's talk about marketing challenges now. For sale by owner means you're doing all the marketing. So you have Zillow, Realtor.com, and basically a Walmart sign that you can stick in your yard. The Walmart sign's great. You put your phone number on it, says for sale by owner, and you sit and stare out your window hoping people call. So again, let's assume it's priced right or somebody's interested. They call, great. Listing agent, they have a nice fancy sign in the yard. And we also have what they call the multiple listing service system. So as soon as that goes in, all the agents around see that there's a new listing. And if they have a buyer that's interested, they instantly get notified instead of you crossing your fingers as the homeowner, hoping that somebody drives by your house and sees that sign, or goes on Zillow or Realtor.com and sees the for sale by owner. Again, it could happen. It has happened, but you just don't have as much marketing leverage as realtors do because they're not just realtors. We're marketing professionals. If we don't know how to market, we don't sell. If we don't know how to market, we don't get clients. We have to know how to market and market well. So next is negotiations. Same thing as for sale by owner. You're doing all the negotiations, but you're probably not negotiating with just a buyer. You're probably negotiating with the buyer's agent. Like I just mentioned about marketing, most agents are very good at negotiations. Any good agent is good at negotiations. Let me put it that way. So even if you're a great salesperson and you can sell snow in an ice storm, you're going to get somebody who does this every day for this specifically. So if they find anything wrong during the inspection, they're going to ask for repairs or concession to reduce the price, or for you to bring some of their money to closing to the table because something's wrong with the house. Having an agent on your side evens the playing field. Now, if your roof is falling apart, your roof is falling apart, and your agent is probably going to tell you, yeah, you should probably either repair that, replace it, or give them money off so they can replace it when they move in, right? But the little things that they can nitpick can add up quickly to thousands of dollars that you could have saved. And then just looking at the contract, there's so many little things, places to look. I mean, our contract is not just like 1 or 2 pages, guys. What happens here in Texas, though, it's a 1 to 4 contract. It's a standardized contract that I use every day, that the other agent uses every day. So it's not like the buyer's agent is writing their own contract that someone's got to siphon through and look for any like loopholes. It's a standardized contract. So any good listing agent knows how to read it, knows where to look for concessions, knows where to look to see how long the inspection period is and any other concessions that are on that to make sure that there's not anything hidden. Because again, a contract's contract, but we know where to look for all the things to make sure that you're taken care of and all the boxes are checked. You just don't have that because you don't do that every day as a homeowner. It's not your job, right? You probably have a 9 to 5, which is going to be the other issue. People want to look at your house and you expect them to work on your schedule. I can tell you, doing buyer tours, calling for sale by owner and say, hey, we're going to be in that area tomorrow between 5 and 7. Is there a way that we can come see it? Well, I'll be working. Tell them to come back next week. Well, what if my buyer's from out of town? They're only there for tomorrow and they're making the decision before they leave. You just canceled your chances of that buyer making an offer on your house because you didn't have time to show it. That comes into play. Pricing your home. Pricing is very important, but you have to understand the pride of a homeowner. If you take care of your home and you have pride in ownership, your house is, the best on the block or the best in the neighborhood or the best in the world, according to you as the homeowner, right? So to you, it's worth $1 million. But again, if no one's going to pay $1 million for it, it's not worth $1 million, right? You may be biased as the homeowner trying to price the home, and you're just going to look at the most expensive recent sale and say, hey, if they sold it for $500,000, I can sell mine for $500,000. And that's not how it works. Your pricing tools that you have as a for sale by owner is like Zillow, right? Zillow's rarely accurate. Zillow's not designed to be super accurate for the homeowners. It's designed to lure you there so you can say you're interested in something, and so an agent can pay for that referral. That's why Zillow exists. Zillow exists to make money off of real estate agents. So they're not fine-tuning anything to making sure anything's accurate on that site. But if that's what you want to use, feel free to use it. Your other option is the tax roll. Same thing. The tax man does not walk in your house and look and see if you've done updates, color your walls are painted, what type of flooring you have. Because if they did, your house might be worth more, which means it's going to be taxed more. So they just do drive-bys and kind of look at the neighborhood and look at the outside of your house and determine what your house is worth without seeing inside. So that's not accurate either. The only accurate option you really have is an appraisal. But saying that, an appraisal is not the same as market value. And I'm going to say that again. Your appraisal is not the same as market value, but I highly recommend you get an appraisal. What do I mean? I'm going to give you an example. As we talk about, house is worth $400,000. Appraiser comes in, looks at it and says, yep, $400,000. You list it for $400,000 and within 3 hours you get 5 offers for $450,000. Is your house worth $400,000 or is it worth $450,000? It's worth $450,000, right? Because that's what someone's willing to pay for it. So same thing. The appraiser says it's worth $400,000 and 3 weeks go by and you get a few offers and they all offer $350,000. So now is your house worth $400,000? Or is it worth $350,000? $350,000 in this instance because that's what somebody's willing to pay at the current time. And so that's where an appraisal can vary. Appraisals are great if you're looking to refinance. They're going to say, yeah, basically here's the max value of your home. And a bank's going to say, okay, based off of that, here's what we're willing to lend you to, refinance or whatever, cash out refinance, pull out a loan against your equity. But when it comes to home sales, it's a little bit different. And so that's what you really need to understand. The reality is the most accurate thing is an agent. They're going to come do a comparative market analysis on your home. Basically look at other houses that recently sold, compare inside and out, and say, based off of this, this is what I believe your home can sell for. Some give a range. There's a range, but at the end of the day, you and the agent have to decide a number. When I use a range, I say, okay, here on the high end, here's what someone's going to offer. On the low end, here's what I know it's going to appraise out for no matter what, even if it's a VA loan. And if those of you that know, sometimes the VA, their appraisal comes in a lot lower. There's a range, but I'll say based off of right now today, if I were to list it, I would list it here. And that's where I recommend you list it. If you need a quick sale, list it a little bit more on the lower end of that range. If you're willing to sit and take the gamble and let it sit on the market a little bit longer because you want a couple more bucks, then let's push it this way. And if we don't get any activity, we can adjust down. Every agent's a little bit different, but at the end of the day, you have to decide a price, right? There's not a range on Zillow. There's not a range in MLS. There's an actual hard number. And so that's what an agent is educated and trained to figure out. So aside from that, risk and pitfalls, we kind of went through a lot of them, right? Negotiating, missing things on the contract. You still have title when you're in escrow. If you miss dates, something's due to title and you miss it, that could cost you the sale of your home at your own expense, which means they back out and you still owe them some kind of money. It could delay the process. It could cause complications on that end. And with all that, what ends up happening with that 7% of for sale by owners last year, 10% of them ended up listing with an agent. The reason why was they were frustrated and basically said they didn't quite understand what was going on. And so they fell out of contract. They weren't getting the offers that they were expecting for the price that they listed it for. And so they brought in an agent, wasting time, energy, maybe some money when it could have all been avoided. So at the end of the day, for sale by owner is totally doable. If you're confident, you have the time, you're willing to do the research and education on pricing it and understanding the negotiations and contract side of it. So all these things can be done, but again, us realtors are here for a reason. A real estate agent has a job for a reason, right? We're very good at what we do, or at least some of us are. If you're in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, I would love to chit chat with you if you're considering selling your home. And what will happen is it's a no obligation home valuation. So I'll go to your home, walk inside, look at it, compare it to the other houses in the neighborhood and tell you, here's what I think it's worth. And that will help you make that final decision if you want to list the home or not, or if you want to do it yourself. Not everybody fits every agent and vice versa. So you want to work with someone that you're comfortable with, that you feel like you have a connection with, that you trust, and then you go from there. If you think you can do it yourself, then absolutely do it yourself, and best of luck to you. But hopefully this gave you some insight. So again, I'm Azra Moore with Aromac Real Estate Team. I really hope this was beneficial to you, and I will see you guys on the next video.